When we speak of the patriarchs, many of us think of Abraham the pioneer, Jacob the wrestler, or Joseph the dreamer, but Isaac, the quiet one, often stands in the background of Scripture like a shadowed mountain. We read his name, we recognize his inheritance, but rarely do we explore the struggles beneath his silence. Today, we look deeper into Isaac's unseen challenges, the weight he carried, and the faith that shaped his legacy, even in the parts Scripture doesn't detail. Before Isaac became a patriarch, he was a boy tied to an altar. Imagine the imprint of that day, his father, the one meant to protect him, raising a knife in obedience to God. His silence in Scripture speaks volumes. Psychologists today might call this event a moment of identity rupture, but Scripture calls it something else, testing, for both Abraham and Isaac. Some Jewish historical tradition suggests Isaac saw an angel, not with fear, but with awe. Because in that moment, heaven intervened and trauma became testimony. Isaac's faith did not begin with comfort. It began with surrender. Isaac grew up under Abraham, the friend of God, the man who received promises, was visited by angels, and was spoken to by God directly. How do you step into shoes carved by covenant? Isaac inherited a promise he did not negotiate, a calling he did not choose, and a legacy he could not escape. And yet, unlike Abraham and Jacob, Isaac never left the land. He stayed. Sometimes the hardest obedience isn't marching into the unknown, but remaining planted where God placed you. His stability was a different kind of strength, a quiet testament to his trust in God's provision right where he was. One of Isaac's greatest struggles came after Abraham's death. The Philistines kept filling in the wells his father had dug. In that arid land, water meant survival, territory, and authority. Every time they buried his inheritance, Isaac could have fought violently instead. He simply dug again, and again. Repetition became resilience. He refused to let conflict define his actions. Some rabbis teach that Isaac's quiet endurance transformed this conflict into covenant, because his restraint eventually earned him respect, and finally, peace. His life shows us that sometimes leadership is not about conquering, but about outlasting. He proved that persistence in peace can be more powerful than aggression in war. Scripture records something subtle yet powerful. In Genesis, the Lord appeared to Isaac and said, "I am the God of Abraham your father. Do not fear, for I am with you." This encounter wasn't dramatic like the burning bush, nor was it thunderous like Sinai. It was personal, intimate. God did not speak to him as Abraham's child. He spoke to him as a man carrying a heavy legacy, a man quietly wounded, and a man faithfully waiting. This moment affirmed Isaac directly. You are not just Abraham's son, you are my chosen servant. It was the divine validation he needed, a quiet word that strengthened his soul for the journey ahead. Isaac's later years were not just peaceful patriarchal storytelling. He raised sons who became rivals. His household was split by favoritism and deception, a painful echo of his own family's complexities. And yet, here is the remarkable lesson. After Jacob deceived him to steal the birthright blessing, Isaac didn't curse him, he blessed him again. That was grace. Some historians believe Isaac recognized something spiritual in that moment, that what felt like a personal betrayal was still somehow aligned with God's sovereign plan. Isaac teaches us that maturity in faith means trusting God's greater purpose. Even when life feels profoundly unfair and our own plans are shattered, Isaac is the patriarch of stillness, the man who waited, the man who stayed, the man who built quietly, listened deeply, and obeyed faithfully. His life reminds us that faith is not always loud, obedience is not always dramatic, and strength does not always roar. Sometimes it endures. God used Isaac not because of a few extraordinary moments, but because of a steady, consistent faith lived out over a lifetime. And maybe that's the lesson for us. Sometimes the greatest stories are not the ones that are shouted from the mountaintops, but the ones that are lived in quiet, unwavering trust. Thank you for joining us on this journey. If this story resonated with you, please like and subscribe for more. Next time, we'll explore the life of Jacob, the wrestler who became Israel.